Yo, everybody. Thank y'all for joining us on the first edition of the week of the Logistics Lounge. We have a great show as always. Got a guy that we've met a few times, and a lot of you know who he is. Mr. Sam Watts going to be on the show. We're going to talk trucking safety, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's not going to be boring like you think. And with safety, we're also going to talk about some things coming up next week that all you drivers, brokers, shippers need to be aware about in the news. So y'all sit back, relax, pop a top, and enjoy the lounge. Mr. Middle Management.
What's up, dude?
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Had a pretty freaking busy afternoon. So, yeah, just meeting after meeting, man. I had like 3 calls in a row, which is great. Love that. Like last week was scary, and I'm glad like on Friday everybody's like, yeah, this has been a ghost town. So, yeah, we're rocking and rolling, man. How you doing?
Dude, that's a good show. I was about to ask you, good busy or bad busy, but sounds
Yeah,
like
it's good busy, man. Good busy.
it's fucking awesome, bro. Hell yeah.
Outside of work, I guess. Yeah, fishing. Going to the fair tonight.
Oh yeah, what fair?
The Wilson County Fair, man. It's just a local hometown event. You can go out there. I think they have like some band playing tonight. I don't know. I've never been, dude. I've lived here for 7 years and I've never been to the fair. So getting it
No
in.
shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I love carnivals, man. We don't go to enough of them, man. I love them. They're so fucking fun.
Yeah,
Fairs,
it's
carnivals,
awesome.
whatever you want to call them, man. They're fucking awesome, dude.
I guess that comes with getting old. I'm like, ooh, this seems like fun.
Yeah, I do. Hey, I'm telling you, and if you want to live life on the edge, you go to a carnival. Telling you.
Dude, I don't know about no carnivals, man. That one that pops up, that pops up in a mall parking lot, dude. Building a roller coaster in 30 minutes. No, thank you.
Hey, that's living life on the edge right there. It's all the excitement you're gonna need for the whole year.
You ain't lying. How's your day been, bro?
Man, it was good, dude. Freaking had to get up ass crack of dawn. Actually, before the crack of dawn to go to the VA again and do labs, man. I'm coming up on like all my yearly checkup stuff with all the different problems that I have. And so everybody wants their own set of labs for all the medications that I'm on, blah, blah, blah. So did that. And again, got to watch some cartoons, bro. Betty Boop this morning. What a good way to start the day, bro. Some Betty Boop, man. And then it was Popeye again after that. So it was cool, man. I don't know, pretty easy going day. Just booked a couple loads, chopped out the rest of my call list that I had left, and added some new people to my prospecting sequences. So
there you go.
Overall, pretty good day, pretty productive day, man. So yeah, no major problems. That's always a good thing in logistics, dude. When you ain't got fucking fires.
I know, but dude, it scares me even more though, because it's like, what's gonna happen tomorrow, dude? The double down.
Yeah,
or you can just have a good day, But
it was a good day. It was a good day. Fair Carnival, great place to find a wife. Oh, love that. I think that's old Indy's company, isn't it?
It is.
Autumn, yeah.
Yeah. What's up, Autumn?
Sweet, dude. Yeah. Thanks for watching. That's what's up. You never know. It could be Indy. Who knows?
It might be Indy. I have a feeling.
It very well might be. Let's go ahead and get some sponsor love out of the way, get to some news, and bring Sam on and get right into our topic, Shoreline. I mean, dude, they've been with us so long that I'm running out of like taglines and catchphrases to use with them. Like it's like I said, like what more can really start saying at this point? AccuBid. God know your cost per mile, ladies and gentlemen, boys and germs. If you're out there operating a truck, you can't know what to be bidding this freight at. If you don't know how much it costs to make that truck go down the highway every mile. AccuBid Pro right now, First month is free. After that, it's only $17.99. Trust me, it's going to pay for itself way before you have to pay for it.
Don't be a victim of cheap freight anymore. Take back control. These are turbulent times for the transportation industry, with companies merging or even closing their doors. Whether you're going out on your own or leasing on with a new company, know your operating costs. Look out for you and bid better with AccuBid Pro.
Indy is the best. You're 1,000% correct. What a guy, what a guy he is. He's an absolute stand-up guy. Anybody who knows him will surely agree. Let's get to some news. All right, most of the drivers out there already know about this, and but just want to make sure. Actually, look at that. Hold on, y'all. My dang screen is all messed up because I was scrolling, trying to look for stuff. My bad. There we are. All right. Most drivers already know about this, but want to still bring it up. There may be some that don't, but also want to make sure that brokers, shippers, and other people involved in transportation are aware of this because, and you know, it can affect rates. It can also affect capacity. A lot of people will just simply park their trucks during things like this. The Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance will hold their annual Brake Safety Week effort next week, August 25th through the 31st, throughout the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. During Brake Safety Week, certified inspectors will conduct commercial vehicles, focusing on brake systems and their components. Of course, trucks with brake-related out-of-service violations will be ordered off the road until appropriate repairs can be completed. While inspectors will be on the lookout for any CMV violation, the emphasis of this is, as I said, for the braking system, specifically the linings and pads. Good thing in this article, they actually give 10 quick tips about your brake lining and pad inspections that y'all can do. As always, I'll post this article on our channels, so y'all can go read the article and you can go over this checklist. But going down the list, they are inspect visible portions of the brake lining and pads as part of your pre and post trip inspections. Should be doing that every single day, twice a day. Look for signs of missing lining, such as grooves in the drum from rivet contact. Number 3, look at shoe to drum clearance and ensure there is adequate lining on the shoe. Look for any signs of leaks from the hub or other components that may be contaminating the lining and the pad surface. Ensure there are no missing lining blocks or pads. Also, check for visible cracks or voids in the lining block. Check for any exposed rivets or lining blocks that look loose on the shoe. On disc brakes, pay particular attention to the condition of the rotor, such as heavily rusted rotors across the entire friction surface on either side and metal-to-metal contact. Make sure all repairs are consistent with the brake manufacturer's requirements and guidelines, which is their way of saying, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, make sure you go take it to someone who does. And finally, it says, note any issues in your driver vehicle inspection report and report them to your motor carrier, if you're a company driver, but obviously you as an owner operator need to make specific note of that and get that looked at immediately. During brake week of 2023, a total of 18,875 vehicle or inspections were conducted, and 12.6% of those were ordered off the road for brake-related out-of-service violations. So there you go. You can learn more about this, like I said, with this article here. And they also have a little checklist and some more information down further in the article from the CVSA that could help y'all get through these inspections, give y'all some additional tips than those that I just said that came from the article. Man, I said article like 8 damn times. Article. It's going to be one of those words, like you say it and you're like, is that even a word? Am I saying the word right?
Yeah, that's the worst.
John, I know you do. I know you're being sarcastic. I would think drivers would be looking forward to them at this point with all the brokers saying, oh, you got to have inspections. You got to have inspections. Other TA, Autumn Transport says TA is doing free mid-trip inspections to help drivers out. Thank you. That is a wonderful, wonderful tip. Everybody, make sure you remember that. I know, John. I didn't know they would either. Yeah, exactly. Spread the word. Spread the word. Hunter, you got anything you want to add on this, man?
It's the same as it always is.
Yeah,
Either park your truck or don't complain. It's gonna happen.
I agree with that, dude.
What a great time to go get your truck inspected if you're tired of dealing with brokers not working with you because you don't have inspection. So go get a fucking inspection.
Yeah, I was being serious when I said that too, man. You figured that they'd be looking.
I said the same shit on John's show. Or hey, Freight Validate, go sign up. Get that check mark.
Yeah.
Then you just park a truck.
Exactly. Get the shit done now. All right, boom. There we go. That's all we have to say about that, man. We're moving right along today. Look at this, man. We're just bam, 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 dude. I'm telling you, that's good stuff.
Because we go get our inspections done.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Preventative maintenance is what we do constantly.
Yeah, that's it. All right, everybody. Mr. Sam Watt. Dude,
intro song.
When you said you cannot resist a 90s alternative song, I was like, it's got to be a Pepper song. Like, there is nothing says 90s alternative more than fucking Peppers, man.
I will never, that when anyone asks, like, what's your favorite band, music, whatever, it's way too complicated. That's such a bad question because
it's the worst question in the world.
It's like, name one of your favorite kids. It's like, well, I mean, I have a favorite, but it changes by the minute. So, like, you can't decide. So, like, but when I said, yeah, I like 90s alternative, because I think you kind of peak in your musical taste, like when you're in high school. And, not to age myself, but I was in high school for part of the 90s. And so like Smashing Pumpkins, the Wallflowers, even like Eve 6, Semisonic, like stuff like that. Like, yeah, I'm going to listen to that if you play it. Like, I'm not hitting the skip button on those.
Yeah, I just started digging into the Smashing Pumpkins catalog for the first time, and dude, missing out. Like, the 90s are so overlooked for the music that was getting pumped out. It's insane.
Yeah, and it's a wide multitude. Like, I wasn't super into like the mid 90s techno stuff, but I was more, like I said, into the alternative stuff. But I mean, even that techno stuff's got some good melodies to it. So you really can't. I know the 80s always gets a love, and okay, this might be a hot take. Maybe, I don't know if you guys can handle this on Logistic Lounge. I think the 1980s music is garbage. Okay, there, I said it. You can throw all the hate mail you want at me. I'm a child of the 80s, but I think they put out bad music. There's only like maybe 5 songs from the 80s I'm like, this is okay. Everything else, garbage.
Yeah, there's a few. You got your Talking Heads and Toto and all those cats. Like Journey, I guess, was mixed into the 80s. I'd almost put them more into the 70s, but yeah, sure. 80s wasn't the thing. I guess yacht rock came out of the 80s too. That's kind of cool, but
sure. And I'm not into that.
I have to disagree. I love 80s music. I was an 80s baby, a 90s kid. So like, I don't know, 90s is my favorite, man. I mean, I do. That's everything I jam is 90s and maybe the early 2000s. But I don't know. I love some fucking 80s music, man.
Hey,
I love some 80s
to each their own, man. What it is. I don't care. Listen to the 80s all you want. I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying, if you say, Sam, let's go to an 80s concert, I'll say, have fun by yourself. That's all I'm saying.
Right. But hey, I'm with you on the techno, man. I still jam the shit out of some techno. Like not EDM as y'all call it now. I mean techno, man. Like old school house and trance music and DJ Irene and that kind of stuff, man. Rave stuff, man. Yeah, freaking hey, dude. Sam, glad you were able to or we were actually able to finally get you on, man. We've been connected a while, like with most people that come on the show. And then we met at Matt's and man, just taking us all this time to come full circle. I don't know why it doesn't. Is it just me, Sam, and you, Hunter? Like, it seems like the more you become friends, like the less important, like trying to get someone on your show or do a business deal or whatever it is. It's like, I'm more concerned about what this guy's doing this weekend.
Yeah, I could agree with that. There's a lot of guys that, and I think this is a guy thing too. Now, again, correct me if there's any ladies watching, but you know, at least for me and my guy friends, like we'll go months without talking to each other, and then all of a sudden you see each other, and boom, you just picked right back up to where you were. And so I just think that's the way guy relationships are. It's like if you're friends, you can just go radio silent and not question the friendship, not question anything about anything. And then as soon as you see each other, boom, you're right back in it. There's not this constant need to communicate all the time. Like my wife and some of her friends, you know, they're always just chatting back and forth, texting. Me and my friends, my best friend in this world, haven't said a word to each other in probably over a year, but we talk every day through Instagram Reels. Like we just send each other reels back and forth. And that is our complete friendship now. That's it. That's all we have. And we love it. It's perfect.
Because you say all you need to say through reels. Like you can, man. All you need to say, man. I got friends like that too, dude. Like every guy does. We all do. Oh man, that's that's funny shit.
on.
That's exactly what happened here, though. I don't even know what it was. We haven't talked since Matt's, and then we somehow interacted. You did with Hunter, or I did, whatever. And it was like, oh yeah, hey dude, you're supposed to come on the show. Let's make that happen.
Yeah. And it worked out great. Worked out great.
It did. All right, Sam. Hey, we ask everyone the same question, and that is who is Sam, and how did you get to be Safety Is My Middle Name?
Yeah. My therapist is still trying to figure that first question out. Who exactly is Sam? And we're still stumped. That's just it. But no, so here's just a 30-second background on who I am. I was born and raised in the industry. I don't want to say I have diesel in my blood because that would be a serious medical issue. But if you could get that, I would have it. I mean, my dad was a trucker. So I was around the industry. I mean, you guys, maybe, I don't know how old you are. I'm not even going to ask because whatever. But I mean, I remember the old days going into the trucking terminals and like, it's just a haze, you know, just the smoke, you know, every dispatcher is smoking out there. It's just a haze. And so like, that's how far I go back, you know, when you could do that. Dispatchers lighting heaters with the ones they're just about ready to put out, you know, just all strung out. Those are the good old days as far as that's why I'm not a smoker myself, but I have, whenever I, you know, smell it, I have this real nostalgic feeling about it just because, man, that was my childhood, you know? So, but then my dad got out of the truck and went into the office, and then he just kind of started climbing the ladder from there, dispatcher, customer service, ended up getting up to like general manager and president of companies, some fairly larger companies. And I was just along for the ride the whole time. I tried getting out for a little bit. I went to college to become quite honestly, to become the next Steven Spielberg. And that did not work out at all. That is incredibly hard. That man is super talented, and I am not when it comes to that stuff. So I said, you know what? Trucking's not so bad. Let's try jumping back in. And here I am. I started off dispatching like I think almost everybody does, which I'm not exactly sure why dispatcher is always considered the entry level position, because to be a good dispatcher, that's not easy. You know, I mean, just there's stuff you have to know. There's, you know, you have to understand a lot about the industry. And, you know, I'm not exactly sure where you would plug somebody in at to begin their career, but dispatcher is it's a hard position if you're good at it. But anyway, so luckily I had a lot of knowledge coming in, and so I dispatched, and then my father actually ended up starting a company, and so I went over to help him with that. And in the course of that, we got audited, because every year, or when you start a company at the end of the first year, you get a little audit, and we did terrible in it because I wasn't really paying attention to safety. He wasn't either. We're both operations guys. And so we got a conditional rating out of that, which, if you know safety, you have satisfactory, you have conditional, and then you have unsatisfactory. And conditional is what we got. And we had a lot of issues because of that, but we were able to get back up to satisfactory. But that's kind of when I started looking in and going, I should probably figure this safety stuff out. It's that almost put us out of business, and that wouldn't have been good. So that was about 2017, 2018 is when I really kind of started looking at the safety piece and going, okay, let's figure this thing out. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. And, you know, I find that a lot of people find safety boring or whatever, and I get why they could think that, but man, for some reason, it just really clicked with me. Like, it was just kind of a discipline in the trucking industry that really, I enjoyed it. Let's put it that way. I liked everything about the industry. I still do, but safety for some reason, man, I really enjoyed learning more about it and why we pay attention to things and how you can use safety to your advantage, because a lot of people just think it's rules, and it is, to be honest. But like, you can use those rules to your advantage, and if you ignore it, you're just playing with fire. So it just really got to be one of those where I studied it quite a bit. I took a lot of webinars. I think I've taken more webinars on safety than probably a normal human being should. But they're always kind of coming up with new things, and then meeting up with different people in the industry. There's a lot of great safety guys that I've met now who have really helped me out and taught me a couple things, and hopefully maybe vice versa. So I said it was a 30-second intro, but that turned out to be a lot longer. But that is me. That's how I kind of got to where I am today. And now I'm doing safety for a mid-sized company, and helping out some other people as well with some safety stuff. So I just like doing it. It's a fun little niche or niche, whatever you like to say. I don't know.
Dude, it just cracks me up how, like, Rob, we always say people just fall into logistics, but I love seeing, like, when people fall into, like, the logistics of logistics. Like, you falling into safety within trucking, like, that's awesome. But I could definitely see why you dug into it, man. You saw the impact that it had on your dad's company getting audited. Like, the difference between satisfactory and conditional is business. Like, people see
It's
that and they're like, ooh,
it's
ooh.
massive. Like all of a sudden your brokers will disappear, because this was back, when Broker Freight was pretty good. So he was running a lot of spot market stuff when, the spot market paid. And so when we got to the conditional, like, the brokers just disappeared, and all of a sudden now you're stuck with, guys who maybe shouldn't be brokers, kind of those fly by night brokers and stuff. And so we're like, crap, we got to get this thing back to where we are. So that's kind of, I mean, it really was a trial by fire. Like, hey, you're already behind the eight. Like, okay, this is an old reference. Have you ever seen the movie Biodome with Pauly Shore? Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
it's
Oh,
basically
love that.
after the party happened, now all of a sudden they got to get that environment back to where it was. That's exactly how I got into safety. Is okay, we are at like almost ground zero here. We got to get this thing back.
Sam, all I got to say is anyone that uses Pauly Shore references when they're talking about safety,
Yeah.
I love that. Love
Yep.
it.
I told you, man, I'm a child of the 90s. Like, I grew up in the 90s. I mean, after we're done talking about trucking, if you want to get into son-in-law in the Army now, we could talk more Biodome, Encino Man. I mean, we can dive into them.
I love all of those fucking movies. But stop. All right, let's focus. Damn it, let's focus. Okay, don't you get me started on some '90s stuff, man. Sam, when we were talking backstage, man, you kind of touched on it a little bit here, but we were talking about. I had asked you, what is your main focus in safety? Is it driver centric? Being out there on the truck, or do you do other parts like other people we know? And you had used an analogy that I really, really liked, or I say analogy, but a comparison of what makes you different. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Maybe. Yeah. Why don't you say it first, and I'll elaborate.
Legal versus operation.
Yeah. Yeah. So my background is from an operation standpoint. There's a lot of safety guys out there, and again, a lot of really good safety guys out there that come from a legal background, which that's not me. I don't have that legal mind. Those guys are super smart, and again, not one is better than the other, although my way of doing it is superior. But I'm not here to throw the other guys under the bus. But no, just kidding. I know they might be watching. No, I got a lot of good friends in safety, and they have this legal background, which yay rah rah to them. I'm not that smart, So I come from a very operational background, and like I was saying before, how can you use safety in the operations? Because there's a lot of times where guys will, drivers will call me up and say, okay, I need to do this. I have this many hours. How can we make this work? And that's kind of where I like to think I thrive in that. It's like, okay, we got the split sleeper we can use, or we can do this. And I like the operations piece of safety. I like helping out the drivers and helping them figure out how to use their hours of service to their advantage, things like that. When it comes to like the legal piece, I know that stuff, and help people out with that. But like I said, I'm mainly an operations minded person. Sometimes you can even get over my head with some of that legal talk that I see out there. And that's when I have to lean on some of my friends and say, hey, can you, paraphrase this for the commoner like myself? And what are they exactly saying in this ruling that they'll have or something like that? And that's where I'm happy for guys like Rob and Brandon and all of them, where, they can take that legal mumbo jumbo, simplify it, share it with all of us and go, cool, man. All right. Now I know what I can tell my drivers and all that. But yeah, like that's just how my mind operates. It's an operations background. I was always that guy that had to figure that out, without safety. And then now when I jumped into that safety role, I've taken all those years of operations and can apply it. And like I said, kind of figure out the game from inside the safety realm on how operations can operate in there as well.
I brought that up, man, because I'm with you on your train of thought. The legalese part of it and the legalese part of this business period. It's just a part of it. Like it's a have to. You know what I mean? It's a gotta know. But I'm an operational guy as well, and I think looking at safety in that mindset it helps it be easier. I wouldn't say to swallow, but easier to get people on board and understand it and want to do it. And what I mean by is because, making sure that your tires are good and your brakes are good and all of these things are right, make sure that the truck is running. Yeah, of course, and make sure you get pulled over, you pass an inspection, get any marks and stuff. But, all of these things obviously come down to operational stuff. You got bad equipment on the road, you get stuff put out of service. Those are trucks down, and it could ultimately be your entire company down, like the example you used with your dad. And as we all know, the drivers, who are the largest part of the operational force, man, they can be the hard ones to really get on board with a lot of this safety stuff and taking it serious.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I really try to hammer home with the drivers that I'm watching right now, is saying, look, guys, I'm not here to keep a check mark on, oh, you screwed up today, check. You screwed up today, check. Now, I kind of do that, but I try to make sure that they understand that I'm trying to help you guys, okay? And when I'm trying to correct you or coach you on something, it's not just I want you to do things my way. I'm like, I say, in fact, I just talked to a guy this morning who was using personal conveyance wrong. Very common mistake. Even the people who claim to be experts on it still screw it up somehow. I'm sure I've given advice to some guys, at one point that was completely wrong, but he's using it wrong. And I'm saying, look, you can't do it this way. And he's like, well, I should be able to. I'm like, that's cool. I completely agree. In fact, I did agree with him that because he was going home after a load. And this is one of the most common ones where you can't PC home after a load. Like you have to actually run that under drive, unless there's some pretty specific conditions, which I'm not going to get into right now. But I said, what you did, how you use PC was not right. And even though I agree with you, it's not right. And I'm not saying this because I want you to feel bad or anything. I'm saying this because if a DOT officer pulls you over while you're doing it, you would get a falsification of logs. And then you have to pay a fine. You get, the company gets CSA points dinged against them. It's a snowball effect. So I really, when talking to drivers, I really hammer home that, guys, I am on your side. I know that's kind of a rare thing for safety guys, but I'm on your side. And if I'm coaching you or correcting or something like that, it's to make sure that you don't get into trouble. Like I don't want this. I hate this safety versus operations type mindset. It doesn't make any sense. We all got to be on the same page. And so if I can get the drivers to understand that I have their best interest in mind when it comes to safety stuff, well, then we all win. Okay. And then they're not afraid to come and talk to me and ask me things. Like drivers will ask me questions that they've said, I've never asked a safety guy this before. I've always just kind of tried to sneak around it and hope I didn't get caught. But it's like, because I have this mindset and this, open door policy with these guys saying, if you have questions about this, let me know. Let's see what we can do. And because of that, they are very open and say, can I do this? No, I can't. Okay, now you can't do it, but it's not me saying because I don't want you to. It's because you're going to get into trouble if you try to do that. And I'm just trying to keep you guys out of trouble.
Why do you think drivers have the mindset like that though? Like instead of like addressing the issue or having a question, and just being open about it, why do they just try to get around it?
I think it's because it's so ingrained. I mean, that just the industry forever has always been drivers versus the office. That's just the way it's always been. Well, and I'm sure that's still the case at some places, but you know, where I'm at right now here, it's not. You know, the owner of the company I'm working with right now, he's a driver himself, and so it's very much a driver minded company, and because of that, you know, we've got a little bit more communication. And like I said, I have, you know, been working at this for months with drivers, just explaining to them and giving them advice and letting them know that, hey, I'm on your side, and I've tried to prove it when I can, because I just, you know, I just think for the longest time it always has been drivers versus operations, and you know, the two of them clash, and that's just the way it's always been, and that's the way it's always, well, it's not going to be that way anymore. Again, I'm sure there's probably some companies still like that, but the good ones aren't anymore. It's, you know, I think that we're starting to finally, this might be a little unfair, but it feels like in the industry, drivers are always just kind of a necessity to get the product down the road. But now it seems like in the last handful of years that drivers have become a priority. And like, okay, these guys, you know, there's been that driver shortage out there that may or may not exist. But regardless, there's a good driver shortage, you know, and finding guys that know how to use their logbooks and know how to, you know, travel safely down the road. Yeah, those guys are always a hot commodity. And I think companies are starting to realize that now, and saying, okay, we have a good driver. Let's make sure we keep, you know, hang on to them, you know? So I think that mindset is kind of starting to turn, that it's, you know, drivers not versus operations, but if you guys work together, you'd be amazed at how good of a company can run, because, you know, you're communicating, you're doing what you're supposed to, you're picking up and delivering on time. Man, that's all we ask in a trucking company.
Yeah. I wanted to stay talking about the ELD thing for a second before, but so obviously to someone else. So before I get to my question, John Cantera, he wants to know, do you have any recommendations on how box trucks and hot shots without a proper regulation sleeping berth can better manage their hours of service?
No. Oh man, he jumped on two like entities that I've never really touched before: box trucks and hot shots. I always told my wife, I said, when I retire, I'm gonna do hot shot driving, just so I can see the country and, you know, not have to go get the full CDL, because I'm not gonna pull over a certain amount of weight. But no, I mean, hours of service gets tricky when it comes to stuff like that, because, you know, first off, we have to figure out if it's actually a CMV, which I'm assuming your hot shot is going to be, because now you really can't make money if you're not a CMV with a hot shot. And it depends on how far you're going. You know, our box starts going outside the radius where they need ELDs. You know, that's a tough question, really, with very limited information. And to be honest with you, it's going to be a tough question even with more information, because again, I've never really dealt with box trucks. My whole experience has been over the road tankers, over the road dry van and reefers, a little bit of flatbed here and there. But I've never worked with the company that did hot shot. And as far as box truck goes, the only type of stuff I've ever worked with that is like final mile delivery stuff, which, you know, those guys really don't need hours of service stuff. But I know if you're doing local, you know, you got that 150 air miles out there. So if you're staying within that, all you need to do is keep a timesheet and really don't need to do hours of service. But if you do go over that 150 and you are classified as a CMV, then you do need to keep hours of service. And I mean, there's plenty of ELDs out there that would be more than happy to work with you on that.
I never ran them either, man. So yeah, that's a good question, John. Like, honestly, I've never thought about that, man. To be honest with you, I never thought about how the hot shots and box truck people do it. So I mean, I remember when I drove in a day, like we used to do when I did local, and you did it wear a day cab, like all of those routes, everything was a team anyway, because it was hand unload the truck. But all the routes, you know, they had to make sure that could be done in like 12 hours or less, or 11 hours, because they wanted to make sure that you had that 3-hour leeway, you know, on your 14-hour clock. So yeah, you could just never drive out and put yourself in sleeper or off duty. Everybody just had to be on. So, but that's a good one. That's a good one, John. Yeah. So my thing with the ELDs, brother, is, you know, ELDs have been around. Shoot, man, I first experienced them in 2010, And so let's just say 15 years at least at this point, from a safety guy standpoint, how much of your job and focus is still dealing with that? And is that still a huge issue, like with drivers? I mean, is, logging stuff incorrectly, like the PC and other things, is that still a big issue going on? Like people still don't have an understanding of it?
I think a lot of guys have an understanding of it now. Now, whether or not they're still doing it correctly remains to be seen. I don't hear a lot of guys. So I first worked for a company that had ELDs back in like 2008. So yeah, I think that's kind of, I don't remember exactly when they first popped on the scene, but I remember the company I was with in 2008 was kind of like the first bigger company that had them in their trucks. That back then was a nightmare, because the guys just had no clue how to do it. It was clunky machines, all that kind of stuff. But nowadays, I don't really hear many drivers, they complain about the e-logs, but they know there's nothing they can do about them. I can't prove it, but I know that I've got some drivers that I watch that I think are purposely trying to sabotage their electronic logging devices so that they can just be like, oh, I got to go back on paper. But after, 3 or 4 tablets, I say, you're not going to get away from this. So you might as well just keep going. But any sort of editing that I have to help them out with their e-logs, it's just because they made a mistake. Not a lot of guys are really trying to skirt the system. Personal conveyance is the only piece that I'm still really training. And that's, I don't think it's a lot of guys trying to beat the system. I think it's just a lot of guys not knowing the system when it comes to PC.
I agree.
Because most of the time, 90% of the time, I call a guy out and say, hey, use that wrong. I believe that they legitimately thought they were using it right. And so, that's when we kind of have to talk about it. And because, PC is kind of one of those, it's kind of one of those gray areas. Like they left a lot of gray area, in my opinion, in PC. And it's a lot of it is kind of up to the officer discretion if they're going to enforce some stuff. Because I just had a guy the other day use PC in a bad way or in a not legal way. And I said, you can't do that. He's like, man, I've gone through 3 DOT officers doing it this way. And all of them said, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, okay. How do you argue with that? It's like, it's all up to the discretion of the officers a lot of the times. And so, but I'm still trying to get them back on track and say, you need to do it this way. But I think drivers have really, succumbed to the fact that ELDs are the way to go. And quite frankly, I love them. As a safety guy, I love ELDs.
I know you do. I know you fucking do.
And it's and it's just because it's so convenient now. And it's just, we can see it even from an operation standpoint. We can see how many hours a guy has and can he run. In all honesty, if the drivers really play their cards right, they can use their ELDs kind of against operations. It's kind of almost flipped a little bit now because the driver can say, nope, I can't do this load because look, I don't have any hours to do it. So, if they really wanted to get in there and figure it out, they really can use that ELD to their advantage. The drivers can. But
bro,
it's a good system.
I used to run my ELD just like a paper log.
Sure.
Just like I did, bro. Hey, 15 minutes unloading and loading. That's all you getting. 15 minutes fueling. That's all you getting. I'm not giving you no hour and a half. I'm serious.
Yeah.
The guy got with me all the time. Rob, you can't do that. Hey, man. DOT, I'll say the same thing. I'd have been pulled over, been inspected. Ain't nobody said nothing. So, hey, we're gonna let it ride.
and that's the hardest thing is the drivers will say, no, DOT guy said this is okay. I'm like, okay, well, dude, it's not, but that guy said it was. So if you see him again, you're good to go.
I know that it's those drivers that know how to properly, that remember paper logs, that are the hard ones to do, because that's what it was, man. Back in the day, the paper log, I don't give a shit if you sit in a dock for 17 hours, 15 minutes, and then you went to sleep and burn. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
That's
that's
how it was, man.
Guys would have their weekday books and their weekend books.
That's true.
And they get pulled over by DOT. They have 5 books and like, this one's good. Take this one. Like, yeah, you can't do that anymore.
Man, hey, I'll tell you, brother, my best friends everywhere I worked when I was a driver were the safety people. I'm serious. I don't give everyone says be friends or fleet manager. Yeah, that's all cool. But Man, you want to be friends with the safety guy. That's who you want to be friends with. Is the
That's
safety
because we are the coolest people in the company. It's a fact. It's science. They did an experiment the other day, and safety people came back as the coolest, most level-headed. Yeah, we are the cream of the crop, so to speak.
Sam did a poll, sent it
Yeah.
to himself.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I happen to be the scientist doing the experiment. Yeah, but yeah, it's coolest guy.
All right, man. So the ELDs, man. Besides that, what are some things that and maybe not with the company you're with, Sam, but obviously you talk to other safety people and do your webinars and conventions, everything. But what are some other hot button things right now that you see going on that are real big issues? Distracted driving, maybe. Speed. We talked about speed with Trooper Ben the other day. So, what are some other stuff that's really concerning still, with safety?
Yeah, you touched on it right there. Speed. That is without a doubt the number one issue that I deal with on when I do my audits and stuff like that. It's we have a little bit of a score thing with our ELDs, and if a guy's score is elevated, I don't even have to look anymore. I still do, but I don't have to. It's speed. He's speeding. And we even have our trucks governed where I'm at. And it's still, they still go fast. I mean, and here's the thing with speed. Okay. This might be not the most safety guy thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyways, because I'm the coolest one. When you get into a city, the speed limit's like 55 miles an hour, but traffic is doing 65 miles an hour. So a lot of guys will ask me, what should I do? Because if I go 55, I'm actually being more dangerous, and they're not wrong. So I always tell the guys, drive the appropriate speed for the situation. So, so there is some piece in there that there's a little bit of give and take with speeding with that, but that is always the biggest one. Guys they got that lead foot. You get out to states like, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, where, the speed limit's 80 miles an hour. And it's flat for 400 miles. I have a hard time blaming the guys, quite honestly. But speeding is a big one, and then like you said, distracted driving is a big one too. There's just so many distractions out there right now. Even legitimate distractions. Like I had one of our drivers almost got into an accident the other day because he was messing around with his GPS. It's something that he legitimately needs, and it was kind of goofing out on him. So he's kind of messing with that. Didn't realize he was coming up to an intersection, and a car turned in front of him and slammed on the brakes and barely missed the car. Thankfully, he did, but he was pulling a really heavy load in his trailer. That shifted, went through the front of the trailer. So we still ended up with some damage out of it. But distracted. There's so many distractions now. It's not even funny what these guys have in their trucks, and even billboards anymore. They got the digital billboards out there. Those are distracting. Have you ever driven past one of those at night and it's like a white background, just like a blind? Just everything's a distraction behind the wheel now, it seems like. But then they're saying, don't be distracted. It's like, I can't help it. Cripe. And then you got operations and dispatch calling you 50 times a day. That's a little shot at them. But anyways, speeding and distracted driving are going to be your biggest ones. That I don't know how to curb that other than, govern every truck at 65. But then that's not really that great either. Like you have issues with that. So it's just getting the drivers to understand, how to properly do it, I guess. But good luck with that.
Yeah, I'll say when it comes to speeding thing, and I've said this many times, I'm not a speeder, never have been a speeder. Like just even in my personal vehicle, I'll go 4 over, and that's about it. And the reason I do that is because I've talked to plenty of law enforcement that say, hey man, most tickets start at 5 over. Like, I'm just going to pull you over, waste 30 minutes of your time and my fucking time for nothing. So anyway, but with trucks, even more so is important to me. And I always use this example when I talk about this. And my trainer, I was blessed enough. I had a fantastic trainer and a lot of mentors when I was coming up as a driver. And his whole thing with speed was this: you're doing 65 miles an hour in 10 hours without any stops. Keep going 650 miles. It's 70 miles an hour. You get 50 more miles. out of that same exact thing. And you've wasted more diesel. You know, you put wear on your engine with that additional with going that faster. And so it's like it's not really worth it. And then with that additional 5 miles an hour, you're also adding a stopping distance onto that speed, you know, and of course, you know, as they say, man, speed kills. And I'm not a proponent for governing trucks. You know what I mean? Companies do. Hey, honestly, I think if you're a company driver and you got a problem with a governed truck, go buy your own fucking truck. It's not your truck. You don't pay for it. You don't pay the bills. They give you a paycheck. Quit your bitching. Owner operators, obviously, hey, I mean, you can't tell anyone what to do with their stuff. This is an additional things why I hate HOAs. Like, don't tell me what to do with stuff I pay for. So you know what I mean? But I don't see a reason for trucks to be going down the highway at 75, 80 miles an hour. I don't give a shit what the speed limit is. I don't care what the flow of traffic is. And we take it a step further. Tires, like I think the highest rated semi tire for a steer is 75. I mean, so you're like, let's push this all the way to the limit every single fucking day. And people are, well, it's rated for 75. Well, I mean, your speedometer in your car says 160, but do you do 160 everywhere? I mean, let's use logic and common sense with this. So, I'm a big person on the speed thing, dude. I don't get it. I don't. And I love my fuel bonuses. I loved them as a company driver, and I got them every time.
And I think that's one thing too that drivers just they don't sometimes understand, and some do, but it's all the additional factors like you were just pointing out there. Like, you know, your tire wear is less. You know, your fuel. In fact, I was just in a meeting today, and they said this last week because we gave some guys some initiatives to watch their speed. We saved $4,000 in fuel costs in 1 week. Like, that's real money in a trucking company. And a lot of guys don't understand that the additional wear on the engine, like you said. I mean, you should be in safety, man. That's a great speech. I mean, that's exactly why you watch your speed out there, because and then just the other factor of you don't have to look over your shoulder the whole time. You know, I don't really speed that much in cars, but sometimes I'll push it a little bit, not really paying attention. Maybe I know I'm not supposed to say that, but you know, you're driving on the interstate and whatever, and you see a cop, and your natural instinct is to hit that brake. And it's like, well, if you just set it at 65 or 68, you don't have to worry about that. You know, you don't have to keep looking over your shoulder and constantly monitoring and adding that stress onto you because you're going over and you got to make sure you wear the cops and, you know, anyways, because once he sees you, you know, you're already caught. So it doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, it's just a lot more relaxed driving for everything if you just watch your speed.
John, man, you know, you go from making smart comments about, you know, having good questions and talking about e-logs and all this, and then here you go fucking talking about how you're a criminal. 165. Took me driving a box truck to learn my defensive and take my time. Now I'm doing 70 on the interstate. Dude, hey, so I'll tell you, I'm at 40 years old. I'm in the slow lane and I'm fucking using cruise control. If it's speed limit everywhere around here, 75. I do 74, bro. I swear to God. Like, I'm just like, I don't know why. I don't know why, but even on toll 130, the fastest highway in America, is 85 miles an hour. Doing 75, 77. Like, I'm just
well, dude, I'm the same way now, Rob. After looking at that chart of like how much faster you get to places based on how much faster you're going, I think it's like the difference of 15 seconds, like per 5 miles an hour once you get past like 70. So it doesn't matter, man. Yeah, saving gas, bumping some music, you know, dude. Like making sure I'm not going too slow, but
right. No, I drive a pickup truck, you know, normally, and I get like 22, 23 miles per gallon on that sucker, and I don't want to drop that thing down to 15 or 17 miles. Like, I'll take it back a notch and get some. I don't know if you've seen gas lately. Well, I don't know where it is where you're at, but it ain't cheap here in Illinois. I'm just saying that. So
it's not so bad here in Tennessee, but I definitely like it to bump back down under freaking $3 a gallon.
We were almost
out in California. It's at like $4 a gallon across the board. This shit's insane. I don't know how y'all do it.
It sucks. Every time you go, you put the nozzle in, you just kind of little tear runs down your face, and like, well, here's this week's paycheck. All right.
Dude, it's like that. I like that meme. So someone made a meme of a gas pump, and they had KY dispensers attached to them. I was like, yes, that's exactly where it needs to be. It's not bad. I don't know, it's not bad here. I think we filled up yesterday for 273. I say not bad, but I mean compared to what it was. But it's funny you talk about your miles per gallon. Look, that is the evolution of men. I'm telling you, and this isn't me being sexist. This is almost 100% a man thing. Everyone can admit it. But you go from seeing how fast can I get my car up to man, how high can I get that mile per gallon, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pride thing. It really is. Yeah.
It is. And drivers, if you just do that, like have that competition with yourself about how high can you get. We know a guy who does, I'll give it to him. He does like 70 miles an hour everywhere and gets like almost 10 miles per gallon. Thomas,
dude. Yeah, Thomas kills it, dude. He's like 9.5 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
What trucks he got?
He's got a freight shaker, I believe, right? He has a freight shaker?
No, yeah, he has a Kenworth.
Oh, okay.
He's got a newer truck, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
dude, he rakes it in. Like, he's not just like doing a couple trips. Like, I think he said he's doing like $9,000 a week. Like, making that kind of gas mileage, chills. Kid rides in the back of the truck playing PS5, like, and he just brags, man. So it's possible, people out here getting 6 miles a gallon. Like, don't hammer down the whole time.
Well, and that's just it. And a lot of guys don't realize how crucial, like if you're coming from a stop, like if you don't hammer on the gas, if you just are lightly on the gas, a lot of guys don't realize how much that actually saves too. Like if you just ease into it, man, it's night and day.
Yep.
I also think that automatic trucks make you get worse fuel mileage. I don't care what you say. I want to put that meme up there. I don't know what the name of that guy is, something Crowder, but he has a table and it says blah blah blah. Change my mind. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Automatic trucks get worse gas mileage. I don't care what you say. Down with automatic trucks.
I gotta say, if we're talking about memes here, the one you guys had the other day with the that one guy, the lease operators on someone's whatever, like that one, I was like keeled over laughing. Like that is one of the most accurate things I've ever seen in my life. I showed it to my wife; she didn't appreciate it at all. But I showed it to some of the guys at the shop, and we were all like tears coming out of our eyes. Like,
I appreciate it. If you think that one was funny, you just wait.
Okay.
we have got some fully fucking loaded ones coming up. And hey, so ELDs, distracted driving. I really don't think there's much we can all say. I mean, personally, I think John says it best here is put down the fucking phone. I mean, seriously. We literally, it's big news right now. That guy who plowed into those people after being on TikTok literally seconds before the damn accident, cruising down the road. I mean, let that just 100% tell you. And I kind of agree, disagree. How to say this? I don't know. With the whole GPS thing, personally, I'm anti-GPS as well. I mean, I never used one, and that technology was well and good when I was a driver. Never used one to the day I stopped driving. Always hard maps, always Atlas, always called for directions. But like even those things, if you're using a GPS, you need to understand your directions to a point that if that thing goes out, you can at least get yourself off the highway or to a point that you don't need it. And sorry, even if you lose it, drive until you can. But distractions. I agree with you, Sam. Everything is a distraction now. It is. Yeah. It is too easy for drivers to be distracted. I mean, I remember when I was driving, I don't know if this is still a thing. We literally had gotten safety messages to drivers that say, dude, that your TV must be behind the bunk and shut off while you're driving. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding? And then, and I've even seen pictures of drivers with TV seat belted in their passenger seat, watching stuff driving down. I'm telling you, man,
that's insane,
dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I had to let a driver go once because he had a lady in his truck. I think it was a girlfriend or something. I'm not exactly sure. First off, we didn't know. Like, we make our guy sign something saying, hey, I got someone in my truck. He didn't do that. So that was kind of strike one. But he kicked her out. And this is at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. She's calling me, the safety line, saying, hey, I'm stranded in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And she lived in like the East Coast somewhere. And she's like, I got to get home. I was like, I'm sorry, you're not really my problem. But then, so like, she's like, yeah, this guy did this and blah, blah, blah. And so I call him. I'm like, why am I getting woken up by an hysterical woman? Like, what's going on? And, oh, she's, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, like, figure it out, you guys. Like, this is not my deal. Well, then the next morning I get in and one of the guys in the shop says, hey, did you see this? And he comes up and he shows me the TikTok. I don't do the TikTok, but he's got one. And that driver was driving our truck, making a TikTok going down the road. I said, well, that's unfortunate. So we brought him in and that cost him his job. I'm like, you cannot make videos while driving equipment down the road. You have an 80,000 pound truck that you're pulling. I don't care if it's 2 a.m. You can't do that, man. Like, think. Like, I just, sometimes I just wonder, and it's not just truck drivers, don't get me wrong. Like, I saw a guy reading a book one time when I was driving next to him, not a trucker, just a regular car. Like, what are you guys doing out there? Like, do you understand you're doing 70 miles an hour? If you crash, bad things are going to happen. Why? First, I mean, I've never found any book that enthralling that I'd want to read it while I'm driving. But it's like, what are you doing? Like, just in general, people out there, get off your phones, get off the tablets, and like you said, kind of have an idea of where you're going. If you're a driver, at least know the interstates on how to get to your next stop. Now, I get if you're getting into town, yeah, you might need some turn-by-turn directions or whatever. But man, at least get to the state.
I wrote all my stuff down, man. Like, I mean, seriously, I had a book, and it was literally the only two things ever said on my dash. This book that I'm about to tell you about and bills of lading. That's it. But I wrote everything down, man, in this book. I mean, every single step, every direction. I would even call the shippers and the receivers because most of them have like a direction line, you know what I mean? So, now, I mean, again, you're still taking your eyes off the road and reading it, you know what I mean? But, I mean, I think glancing down at that book for 5 seconds versus 10 or 15 that you're doing this with something else, and including the e-logs, man, some of these drivers, their e-log doesn't turn off when the truck starts moving, and some people will start playing with those things. So, distractions, I don't know. I think it's just society, man. I don't get it. People now, seems some drivers, a lot of these newer ones, more specifically, they drive their rig like they drive their four wheeler, and that's not the way that you do it. And honestly, being a truck driver should make you a better four wheeler driver. You know what I mean? You should. I don't know, but anyway, my last thing that I want to talk about is cameras. All right, now hold on. Before you answer this, let me get ready. I'm gonna crack my hands here so I can type it out because this is going to be a short right here. I'll start off with this question. Can you see live time into a truck with driver facing cameras?
Like me, I can't. Yeah. We don't have the technology.
I know. Dude, I love it. I knew that was the answer. Dude, I'm sorry. I was a driver. I never had a problem with them. Again, I see people who complain about safety and rules is like, if you have a problem with it, it's because you're doing something wrong and someone's trying to change that bad habit that you have and you don't like that. Cameras never had an issue with them. Never did. Like, I don't do shit wrong. I don't understand what the problem is with it. And they save people. So with that, what is your thought on cameras, whether they be dual facing or just outward facing? How do you feel about that, same as a safety guy?
Well, obviously, outward facing dash cams are an absolute must. I don't care who you are. If you're driving a truck in 2024 and you don't have a dash cam, you are just asking for trouble. That's my opinion. I can't tell you how many times we have saved ourselves in insurance issues and other things just by having the dash cam. I mean, and they're not even expensive anymore. I mean, I think we pay like $30 a month for ours. And you can, I know some drivers that even have their own because they're like, I don't even trust yours. I want my own. And so they do. I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. Inward facing cameras are going to be the hot debate topic they already have. They're going to be for a while. How do I put this? I see the advantage of having one, but I also understand the driver's hesitancy to have one. I completely get it. This is your home. You don't want people looking in. And yeah, it's not like we really can. I mean, maybe there's someone, I haven't reviewed every inside dash cam out there. But I know there's technology in place now that if the engine is not running or it's not showing that your movement, the inside camera doesn't work. I mean, they're starting to get to that point with some of these. I know a lot of companies are okay with you putting a hat over it when you're stopped. I understand why a driver would have a problem with it. I think they'll probably become mandatory. They'll be the next thing to become mandatory, just like e-logs are mandatory. I think they're going to be mandatory as well, just because of all the distracted driving that is out there. And like I said, as a company, now here's the deal. I've been in trucking for a while now that I can judge a dash cam, an hour facing dash cam, and I can pretty much figure out if that driver was distracted just by what I saw, looking out. I don't necessarily need to see inside, but it could help a company if that makes sense. It could say, look, nuclear verdicts. That's the biggest topic out there when it comes to legal stuff. Everyone's heard of them. No one wants them. An inward facing dash cam could save a lot of companies from those nuclear verdicts because they can go back to that camera and say, look, our driver wasn't distracted. This car made a bad choice. That's why the accident happened. But again, I can see the hesitancy with the drivers, but I think it's eventually going to be mandatory.
Sorry, Hunter. I thought you were about to say something. You look like you were about to say something.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, awkward
dude, no.
silence.
No. Yeah, I mean, I also understand. Like, I get it, man. The whole invasion of privacy thing, man. But it, I don't know. To me, again, it's a risk versus reward thing. You know what I mean? When it comes to those, and as I said, and as you said, it is their home and stuff. But and I'm gonna tell you, I worked in the position where I in charge of drivers and had to review dash cam footage. I've helped carriers set up their business and get dash cams, and I've tried to view live. Like, you can't. And, and so I don't know where that misconception comes from, but I understand why it is an issue. I just don't understand why the misconception is. And like you said, people who have been in this a while could probably watch the outward and see that, whose fault it realistically was. But, some people can't. And that footage of what's going on with the driver, really, really, really matters. And I use this worst case scenario right here. And this is, again, worst case is taking it a little dark, but, driver crashes, it's the only vehicle around. No one saw anything. The wreck happened hours ago. Someone just comes upon it and they find the driver and they're deceased. Yep. Now, of course, we all know that, and I'm not saying you, but a lot of times when it comes to law enforcement, it's always the truck that has to prove themselves innocent. But in this situation, the driver had a medical episode, and that is what caused the accident. And that is something that is out of control of the driver. And without that inward facing camera, no one would have known what happened. Even the family, let's not even talk about safety. Let's talk about the family. The family's like, what happened? Like, what happened to this guy? Well, we don't know. We can see what happened when he wrecked, but we can't see if anything happened on the inside that caused him to have this accident. You know what I mean? So, and again, I know that's taking it dark, but I'm a person who thinks like that when it comes to everything. I think about the most craziest scenario in, is this part of my life going to possibly help that at some point if this happens? And again, you said it, John said it, when John works at a carrier as well. I mean, this thing saves companies and owner operators so much money. There are literally entire channels out there on TikTok and Instagram of people uploading their footage, like showing the stupidity that happens that causes an accident with them, and it's not even their fault.
Yeah. And you said the key word there earlier, risk. That's part of my job, is to mitigate risk. How can we make ourselves not a risky company? I went out to a conference last year in San Diego, and it was fantastic because it's San Diego. Now, I'm not a huge fan of California, but San Diego in like September was fantastic. Anyways, but it was an insurance conference, and they brought in a lawyer who specializes in depositions and all that kind of stuff. And they had a mock deposition there, and they went through all the stuff, like, here's what lawyers are going to look for. And like you said, you go in dark. That's kind of how we have to figure this stuff out. Like, how can this be the worst possible case scenario, and then how can we protect ourselves against that? And that's what this conference was all about, is this lawyer saying you have to do this, you have to do this. If you're going to, like you said, if you're going to have inward facing cameras, you should have inward, or you should have audio. But if you can't audit that stuff in a timely manner, then don't have it. But, it was just a lot of interesting little tidbits that he was throwing out there. But at the end of the day, we are in a very risky industry. How can we get rid of as much risk as we possibly can? And that's the part of the safety. Yes, it's hours of service and it's e-logs and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's how can we protect the company? Because there's going to be things that happen. We've had bad crashes. There have been, bad wrecks all over the place. How can that company survive a bad wreck? Well, if it means putting a dash cam in, that's what we do, and that's what we've done. If it means putting an inward facing dash cam, or inward facing camera in, then that's something that you have to decide on as a company. But yeah, you're kind of right. It's those drivers that maybe aren't doing things right that are kind of the most opposed to it. And granted, I'm a libertarian. I don't want people invading my privacy and my rights and all that stuff. But at the same time, if you're driving a company vehicle, is it necessarily yours? I mean, that's when you could probably get some of the legal guys in here and start talking about that. But I can just see it happening because a lot of companies don't want that risk. They want to be able to cover their bases, as many bases as they possibly can, and that one covers a big one.
I agree with you, man, wholeheartedly. John, no, the way they worked with mine is like when you have the provider, you got sent the footage. Like as soon as an event was recorded, like almost immediately. I mean, I'll use an example from when I was with PFG. I'll never forget this, man. It was actually the first time I ever got called on a camera thing. I was pulling out of a truck stop right down from the yard, man. I had to use the bathroom, could not wait. Well, I was pulling out of it and I was putting on my seatbelt, dude, as I was like sitting at the stop sign. And so I started to roll forward thinking I had my seatbelt like clicked, and it wasn't. And when the seatbelt flew back, it wrapped around my arm and jerked my arm over, and I jerked the shit out of the truck, dude, and it shook the truck. And man, my transportation manager called me and what were you doing? Why didn't you have your seatbelt on before you put on the park? I was like, no, dude, you got me. You're right. 110%. But like it's so I don't know. I don't see the with it, man. I mean, I get the privacy thing. I think risk versus reward. I think even an owner operator would want to save them. But I don't know. It is what it is with it. I agree. It's going to be mandated soon. I really do. I feel that, especially with the attention that these accidents are getting. You know what I mean? Like the one that is real big right now, like you said, the nuclear verdicts. I mean, it is. I think that's probably going to be one of the things that FMCSA, slips through on, in a meeting, in a bill, you know what I mean? And just put it in there.
It could be. Yeah. And like you said, it all comes down to that risk versus reward. What do the companies want to risk in order to protect privacy or anything like that? Is it worth that risk? And that's what the companies ultimately have to decide.
Yeah, 100%. Hunter.
What's up, dude?
What's up, bro? Still working?
Yeah, doing a little work. But to touch on the camera thing, it's definitely going to get some kickback. But I mean, like anything else, it's just going to come down to educating the drivers and kind of walking them through hey, none of your shit's getting leaked. Nobody's sitting here watching you all day. Anything that's recorded gets deleted. So it'll be, I don't know, just another thing. They'll get over ELDs, and then this will be the new hoopla for the next 20 years. And then
oh yeah, we get drivers that will say, potential drivers, and they'll say, do you have inward facing cameras? And we say no, and okay. It's like, well, what would you do if I said yes? Would you be like, forget it? I don't know, but I understand it. But again, there's if it'll save a company, $500,000, $1 million in a wrongful death lawsuit or something like that, they're going to put them in.
Hell yeah. And I agree with Rob, man. It's like, what are you hiding back there? What are you doing that is so important where you're so concerned? Because me, I don't know who commented. Yeah, freaking John. Nobody cares if you're picking your nose, you sneeze, whatever. Nobody's sitting there watching you, man.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing too, is that I tell guys all the time, I watch a lot of you guys. Like there's a lot of drivers that I'm responsible for safety wise. I don't have time to sit and watch you drive down the road, man. Like I barely have time to review the footage of you hard braking. Like
Yeah,
that's
like you have
kind of
some
where we're
mission
at.
control, just like watching them at all times.
Yeah. Like I don't have that. I hate multiple screens. I have 2 screens, and if I can figure out how to get rid of one, I'll do it. But right now I have 2. But
And I don't. I don't know. I get the privacy, and Jeannie made the truck or the comment of being in the seat and being in the bunk stuff, and again, this me as a driver saying I didn't care. I was proud of the inside of my truck. I drove down the road with my curtains fully open, never kept them closed unless I was sleeping. Like, I don't know. I don't have an issue with it. I mean, unless you're a dirty son of a gun or you don't want safety to see that you're one person with the top bunk folded down that's got shit stacked up there. There's also a safety risk. I'm sorry, bro. God, I would be the worst safety guy ever, dude. I'm telling you, like, we would do mandatory fucking truck inspections every single week. Top bunk is for sleeping. It's not for storage. Take that shit out. Put it somewhere else. Like,
Yeah, man, I feel like you'd run boot camp, Rob. Like, I better be able to flip a freaking quarter off this
oh
bed.
man, I would be. Hey, but there was a reason, man. I never ever got a bad inspection. I never had issues with any of my safety people. I mean, and I mean, my safety guys knew that I did illegal shit, and I went back when I ran paper logs. I mean, and I can say it because they don't work there anymore, but I mean, dude, I used to do an 800-mile drive in a 64-mile-an-hour truck on one log in a day. You know what I mean? And made it look freaking legal. But at the time, I knew what a loophole was. I mean, our company ran, this is what even DOT, I asked them, they said, no, man, you can get away with it. The company had owner operators, and those owner operators did not have governed trucks, and they ran at 70 miles an hour. And so technically, I guess they say legally, I was able to run my log at 70 miles an hour. I never did my paper log by like actual time. I drove however long I wanted to drive, and then I multiplied those hours by how fast my truck went, and that's how long I drove. If it took me 8 hours to do 300 miles, well, those 300 miles were actually done in 5 because that's how long it took. So, but it's not me telling people to do bad stuff. My point is that I was cool with safety people, man. I never had an issue with them because I always kept my stuff right. My truck was always clean. My pre-trips were always done. My maintenance was always kept up. I never had an issue with anything, man. I mean, I was a driver that when I worked for companies, I would get spare tires and chain them to the back of my truck because it saved me fucking time. And this is a company driver. I didn't care about the money. The company saved money. I was worried about my time. My time of waiting for roadside to get there when I could just pull into a shop. Hey, here's a tire. I got it. Put this shit on. So I don't know. I think things like that matter, man. What are you hiding? Like Hunter said, that was a long way to get back to that. But I'm serious about truck stuff, bro. I am. I would be a horrible safety guy, dude. I would be so strict nobody would want to work for the company.
Yeah, there's definitely that balance of what hill are you going to die on? What are you going to fight? And then biggest thing is document. If you do have an issue with the guy, make sure you're documenting it. And then eventually, if it keeps going, you say, look, bud, it's just not a good fit. You got to go make him available to the marketplace. But I try not to do that. And FMCSA doesn't even necessarily like that either. They want to see drivers, improving. That's ultimately what they want. Even, after like a really bad failed inspection or whatever, I've talked with enough FMCSA guys to say, like, we want to see them get better. We don't necessarily want like, hey, you're fired. You messed up. Get out of here. It's like, can you help them? Can you coach them? What did they do wrong? Now, sometimes you got to say, you got to get out of here. That you're just too dangerous. And this is your 5th offense and whatever, there's always those caveats, but yeah, they want to see drivers get better. They want to see improvement. They want to see coaching and all that. And so that's what I try to do but the key is to get them before they have that major accident, start seeing the little signs along the way. And like you said, one of the big things that a lot of drivers don't necessarily pay attention to or don't know or whatever, clean truck. If you have a clean truck, your roadside inspections will go much better if you have a clean truck, because the officer will know, hey, this guy takes care of this stuff. They might not check other things as closely. If you roll in there with garbage literally falling out of the truck, you're going to get the book thrown at you. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Dude, that's how I did it. I don't know. I'm a clean person even when my cars are spotless, but my trainer told me the same thing. He's like, dude, he said, don't put shit on your dash And
Mhm.
he said you need he said three things. His was his Atlas, BOLs, and then he also had a little book too. But clean trucks, man. I mean, I was a company driver, man, and I used to paint the letters on my fucking tires with marker, dude, because it looked cool. I swear to God, that's how dorky I was. But I never, ever, ever got inspected. If a DOT pulled me over, they'd open my door and they'd see my shiny floor because I armor alled it. And they'd be like, just paperwork, please. Just paperwork, dude. Yeah, it's true, man. And Ryan said it too, Hunter. Remember, Ryan was the first one that said it, man. We've had so many people talk about the clean trucks. You know, take pride in your equipment. It is because that's the first thing DOT thinks. That's what you would think too if you were them. If this person can't even take time to clean the trash up off the floor in their truck or, you know, get it washed or whatnot, you know, what other things are they lacking in and not taking care of, you know?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
man, I had one last thing. Already, I'm not going to go into my rant about it because everybody knows how much I think they're important. But last thing I just want you to touch on is get your opinion on is pre-trips and post-trips, Sam. You know, is that something that you deal with a lot of drivers not wanting to do or getting kickback? And how important do you think those are when it comes to safety and maintenance?
Well, they're you know, you have to do one. That's legally you have to do one. So that's important. But the nice thing is with the e-logs that we use, they can't even they can't start their day without doing a pre-trip. So like they have to go through the pre-trip, and then I hold them to it. If there is an issue on the road, I'll go back and look like, hey, did you do a pre-trip? Oh, hey, you said this tire was okay. And all of a sudden now it's bald, you know, 70 miles down the road and blue. It's like, did you really do the pre-trip, bud? And so we've had some of those conversations, but it's so important. I mean, maintenance is one of the most overlooked pieces of trucking. If you take care of your truck, you'll be miles ahead, literally, of everyone else. Pre-trips, we always make sure they do that. Like that's the mandatory one, in my opinion. Your truck's been sitting all night. Get up, check everything, make sure no one messed around with your truck. I mean, in this day and age with the thefts, like you would not believe how many guys will go back and their stuff's broken into. And then they open it up and the people say, oh, it's just, you know, steel rods or something like that. And then they leave it. But that's theft is a huge issue. And then I always tell the guys too, I said post trips are mandatory. I say they're mandatory. You don't maybe necessarily need to do as thorough of a post trip as you would a pre trip, but I said go around, walk around your truck, look underneath it, make sure nothing is leaking. Make sure you know you got your lights still good. Make sure your tires still look good. Because here's the deal: if you do a post trip and you go, oh son of a gun, one of my tandem tires is flat. I can hear it deflating. Wouldn't you rather go get that fixed while you're on your break? You know, if you're somewhere that could get it fixed versus waking up going, son of a gun, you know, I got a flat tire. Now there goes my day because, you know, all those tire places are really punctual. So like I always tell the guys, like, just go do a post trip, do a walk around, look underneath. Just if you have an issue from that day's drive, let's get it fixed at night, you know, or let's get it fixed while you're taking your break. And that seemed to save a lot of time.
Dude, I love that you said that exact thing, man. You know, I've stated my case so many times how much I think pre-trip, you know, mid-trip and post-trips are. And I like to, when I do the post-trip thing, I took the same frame of mind as you used for the pre-trip. Instead of my truck sitting for 10 hours or 12 hours or whatever it was, I just drove 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 miles, you know, across a variety of terrain and through all these different things and maybe picked up and dropped loads. Again, who knows? I could have picked up a nail. You know, when I was in the truck stop getting my scale ticket, you know, some idiot could have, you know, punched my taillight out or whatever, you know. And so, and again, it's like you said, would you rather catch that then and deal with it while you're already going to be on your break, knowing, and I love how you said also, then they're always punctual, you know, those roadside guys, boy, you can, man, they tell you they're going to be there at time. You can take that shit to the bank. So, you know, would you rather be dealing with it, like you said, when you really actually do have the time, or you know, later on when it's going to be of a massive inconvenience for you, or even, you know, could lead to a further breakdown or a ticket, or maybe even an accident. You know, I mean, you could have ripped an airline or something. So yeah. I'm also glad that you said you go back and look at them, because, man, I was going to say when you were talking about, oh, they have to do it, who gives a shit? That doesn't mean I literally get out of the truck and do it. Like, I know plenty of drivers just go beep, boop, 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 and they just keep on rolling, man. So, even with paper logs, couldn't get around it. You could still just fill it out, not have to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But a lot of people push the speed and, the distracted drive and other things. And me personally, I think probably the first line of defense when it comes to safety and maintenance is pre and post trips.
Mhm.
You can forego so many problems with 30 minutes of your day.
Yep.
And if you think about it the way Hope Zavara would tell you to think about it, at least you're getting out and moving, right? That's 15 minutes. You're out of your truck, moving and walking around that you're not sitting in the seat. So look, it has all kinds of benefits for you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, they're important. Do them. That's my 2 cents.
Hunter, you got anything you want to ask Sam before we start talking about Biodome? No, I'm joking.
No, man. I think we've covered it all. It's definitely interesting though. Like safety is not something that I've really dug into like this. So, I mean, but it's important, man. You're doing a good thing out there.
It's one of my famous sayings. If you've ever followed me, safety. A lot of people disregard safety because it doesn't make them any money. We're not generating revenue. We're not booking loads. We're not doing anything. But if you disregard safety, it could cost you everything. So it's definitely kind of one of those, little things that you got to pay attention to because, yeah, okay. Like I even talked to drivers that, yeah, I didn't get pulled over. I got a warning. I did all that. Cool. You got away with it then, but that doesn't mean that in the long run you will. And a lot of times, that's what a lot of companies operate that way. It's like, okay, we didn't get popped, so we can keep, fudging the numbers or keep running a violation until that one day comes, or if you're not paying attention to a guy's logs and then God forbid he hits and kills somebody, all of a sudden those lawyers are going to go back to all those logs and they're going to say, this guy should not have been on the road. And you, Mr. Trucking company guy, you're in trouble now too.
Literally an article right now. Again, the driver was found not guilty in the case. People did lose their lives, but the trucking company owners are being held criminally liable because they found messages of where they told the drivers to not worry about the logs, that they would fix it. And then they found evidence that they altered logs within the company. So
sure.
the driver who, ultimately said was the person that caused it, they were found, but they are. So, companies, you can be held liable, safety guys, owners, whatever, like, you guys can. And I want to end with this, Sam, is I also think that, it is important for also brokers and shippers to know a little bit about safety, how hours of service works. I mean, because I know all brokers have had a shipper say, well, just tell them to push it faster. Dude, they only have an hour left to fucking drive. Unless this damn thing is going to find a wormhole somewhere going down I-95, the load's not going to make it, buddy. You know what I mean? So I think that it's important that they know about it too. Understand things of like hours of service, how cameras and stuff work and all these things, insurances. I think it's just good for information for everyone to have. So again, you just have a better understanding of how things work and how things operate, and what you may be asking a carrier to do is obviously illegal, or maybe a carrier is telling you, shipper broker, oh, I'm going to just do this. Okay. I didn't hear that. Like, you know what I mean? So,
yep.
And maybe you could be the voice of reason, say, hey man, look, I know you already drove 11 hours. I really don't need you to be driving the other 3. I want the load there, but it's not that fucking important to where you get in trouble and, possibly something happens. So,
yep.
I think it's something everyone should at least know a little bit about.
If you listen to, I think it was the last one or maybe the previous, my podcast, Trucking Safety with Sam Watts, you can find it on Spotify or YouTube. If you listen to that, like I go over that, like even the accountants have to have some idea of safety. Like they don't have to know all the details, but like dispatchers, customer service, like these people have to understand safety, the basics of safety. Now, that's why guys like me are around. So if they need a little more nuanced answer or like, hey, here's a certain situation, what can we do? That's where I step in. But like dispatchers should know that, hey, this guy's driven 8 hours. Okay, he's only got 3 hours left that he can drive. Or he took a split, or he did a split and now he's got X amount of hours. Like just those things. That's something that that they need to understand as well, so that they can properly dispatch and give the right information to the driver as well. Or so they can go to the customer and say, look, this one's going to be late because we ran out of hours and things like that. And so they're not telling the driver to do something illegal because, just between the three of us here, because I don't think anyone else is watching, just between the three of us, drivers will do illegal stuff if you say they can. Like there are some drivers, not all of them, but there are some drivers that will do illegal stuff. So you might even be giving them advice that you think is correct, but is not. And the driver will say, okay, you said I could do that. I'm going to do it. And then you have that kind of headache on your hands. So I always say everybody in the company should have an idea of safety. You don't even have to know the deep dive of it, but you should have a good understanding. And that, like you said, goes with brokers and even shippers and receivers too, because man, shippers and receivers, that's a whole nother topic that I'm never going to get into right now, but they are not understanding how safety works. They're taking up too much time of the drivers loading them. They're loading the trailers badly. They're pushing all the product to the drive axles, and all of a sudden, hey, the guy's not overweight. He's not over 80,000. Yeah, but he's 45,000 pounds on the drive axle, so he is overweight. And they don't seem to understand that. But again, I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole nother rabbit hole.
That's a good one.
That's what I'm seeing a lot lately.
Yeah, that's good. You're right, man. And it's they do, to be sure on that one. They're not in the transportation business. That's what they hire carriers and brokers for. You know what I mean? They're in the manufacturing of plastic pipe business. So it's not a concern to them. And we all have in this industry, carriers, brokers have ran into those that you're right. They don't understand it. And it would help a lot of things, even with the loading detention thing. If they understood hours of service and how all that really comes into play. And, 2 hours to unload. I'm sorry, man. I'm sitting anywhere for 2 hours, man. I'm probably about ready to pass out. And then I've got to get back up, be energized enough to drive 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. So yeah, I love it. Definitely a cool topic. We should definitely get into that one another time, Sam. I like that. Can't believe that we didn't bring it up. John, if you could just give me a damn minute. Do you want to come on, John? I'll send you a link. You come on. You can run our show for us. Okay. All right. Sam, before we let you go, is there anything else that you want to say? Any comments, questions, plugs you want to give yourself, especially for John?
Yeah. So I'm doing this whole thing off my cell phone, so the comments are kind of small. He's looking for my channel, right? Is that
yes?
What you're saying?
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
Okay.
What's your channel again?
I'm 40 years old, man. I can't really quite see all that. The eyes just aren't what they were. So Trucking Safety with Sam Watts. That's my podcast. You can go on YouTube, just type in Trucking Safety with Sam Watts. Same thing with Spotify, Trucking Safety. I think it's on Apple. I'm not entirely sure. I don't use Apple for my my podcast, so I've been told it's on there, but I've not verified that. But yeah, Trucking Safety. I do a weekly safety podcast. I know that sounds horribly boring, but it is not, in my biased opinion. But I just go over these little topics, and they're like 15, 20 minutes long. And I just kind of try laying some groundwork of safety, how it works, and then build on it from there. So I'm still developing the show. But I've got like 7 or 8 episodes out now, and man, the sky's the limit with that. I got a bunch of other ideas. So, but yeah, Trucking Safety with Sam Watts is the name of the podcast.
Oh, yeah. What about personal stuff? Sam, you want to give out any personal things?
My social security number is here's my driver's license number. I'm basically only on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn, by all means, come be a connection with me, be my friend. Say, hey, what's up? I don't know what my screen name is. Just, I guess if you go on LinkedIn, search for Sam Watts. I got a bright yellow background in my profile picture. Can't really miss it. Got this handsome face on there as well. So, but I'd love to connect with you guys. And yeah, if you ever have safety questions, by all means, reach out to me. You can send me a message on LinkedIn there, and I'll get back to you. And yeah, I found that just a lot of, owner operators, small companies, they just have like these little questions, and they don't have a full-time safety guy on their staff or anything like that because they can't afford it. So I have kind of in turn help some of them out, be done their safety for them as well too. So, but yeah, I'm all ears.
Fuck yeah, brother. Hunter, you got anything you want to add, dude? Again?
Nah, man. Sam, Good having you on here, man.
Good to be on.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on, Sam, dude. Like I said at the beginning, I'm glad we finally got to make this shake, man, and spend some actual time together and talk about more about what you do and stuff, dude. And I love it, man. I do. I think the part of safety that you're in, man, is the most important. You know what I mean? Like the on the ground or the style, let's say, the operational look at it. The legality is always going to be there, but having a way to look at safety as, an operational thing and efficiency and how you can make the company and the drivers and everybody more effective. And, also all the other benefits that come with it, risk and reward and stuff, so yeah, I like it, dude. If, I would never be a safety guy because I don't think I could do it, but I have mad respect for all I do. I really do, man. Safety people don't get as much love as they should.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. About time.
We'll send a poll out and we'll only send it to you and you can vote on that. I love it. Hunter said, dude, I was so good to use that shit, Hunter. Every time someone says something, I'm like, oh, you self-polled yourself, huh? Like, I'm stealing that from you, Hunter. I'm so stealing that shit, bro.
Hey, man. And no one checks who's the polling person. I'm just
That's
saying.
right.
100% is 100%. I don't care.
Right.
Sam sends the poll from one email to the other, and then he's like, "Oh, look at that!" Like, I love that shit, man. That's so fucking funny, bro. All right, everybody. Hey, we thanks everyone for joining. Went a little bit longer than we normally have, which you really wouldn't think you could with safety, but I think it's a good conversation. I really feel it was really interesting, man. I tried to touch on some things that I thought drivers would be interested in talking about, and I appreciate you answering those things openly, honestly, Sam, all the advice that you gave people. And, with that, we're going to do a final sponsor break and chop out this piece. I'll tell y'all what's going on the rest of the week after we do that. Hold on. Let me get to these comments before I go. Screw you, Pedro. I told you that this is boring as watching paint dry. I love this stuff. John is something else. Sam John said that Sam is like to have someone on ones to pick.
He'd like to have someone one-on-ones.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. That's my brain. Like
reach on out. I'll be more than happy to talk to you.
John's on LinkedIn too, so go hook up with him, John. Sure. Sam puts out some good content. I'll say you're one of the few people I have notifications for you, man. So when you post, I can see your stuff, dude. And I for real take that as a compliment because I know a lot of people, and I think we all understand how LinkedIn is. There's a lot of posting, so if you want to be notified, you better be very selective of the type of people that you want to get shit from.
Well, I appreciate that, and I will say that you are one of the people that I'm now going to have to go and turn the notifications on for.
I don't do that for me, man. Well, hey, actually, no. If you liked that thing, go turn it on because I post the same crazy shit on my stuff, man.
I see your guys' stuff all the time. I don't know if I did it one time, but I see your guys. You guys are always on there, so I'm good.
I'm glad. That's good. That's the purpose, man. We're just posting the shit out of posting stuff.
I like it. If it educates me or makes me laugh, I'm all about it.
Dude, hey, I think if you can laugh while being educated, that's the way to do it. And that's what I try to do. Like even that lease operator thing, man, even though it was a dig, like it's fucking true. I mean, and this is no slack towards lease operators. Like it is honestly, everyone knows that's a fucking problem, man. You know what I mean? And how better way to make fun of it than, dude, I'm somebody's bitch. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
That clip was just absolutely perfect. I didn't know it was coming. I'd never seen that before. I'm like, oh my word, that is hilarious.
That stuff was good. Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate it. And before I go, Nathan, that show is going to happen, dude. Thank you for hooking me up with Aniket and Jonathan, dude. We're gonna make some really good content out of that. Shoreline Capital. I mean, again, I'm just out of one-liners right now for them. Y'all got to let me reload on my Shoreline one-liners. it. He left. What a
Yeah,
poo
what?
head. He's still at work. He's still at work. So I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand. He's probably ready to go home because it's 5 o'clock where he's at. So AccuBid Pro, go get the app, Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Download it. As you can see, first month's free. After that, it is $17.99. Absolutely amazing tool. Really feel that if you own a truck, if you're an owner operator, any sense, box truck, big truck, sprinter van, you should help this. It's really going to help your business out and, help you to understand your cost and expenses a little more.
Don't be a victim of cheap freight anymore. Take back control. These are turbulent times for the transportation industry, with companies merging or even closing their doors. Whether you're going out on your own or leasing on with a new company, know your operating costs. Look out for you and bid better with AccuBid Pro.
All right, brother. I know I've asked you for a third time, but anything come up? You need to say anything before we get out of here?
Nope.
Cool. Fucking A. Oh, tomorrow. What's going on tomorrow, Hunter?
Oh yeah, we got Hennef Transportation Systems coming on the show. We're gonna talk some tankers and pneumatics. It's gonna be a grand time. Can't wait.
That's good. Is our friend gonna come on with them?
I don't know. I need to ask him. I'm sure he will.
That'd be cool. That'd be real cool. Have Barker come on. That'd be fun.
Yep.
And then Friday, we have the one, the only, Mr. Lombard coming on the show. Going to end our summer fitness and health series that we had going on. Had a couple guests on throughout the summer with that. And he's going to round out. And also he's going to talk about some things he's doing with Rees Across America, amongst many, many other things that Mr. Lombard is involved in. So make sure y'all tune in for that. Appreciate all y'all. Hope you have a good time. If you're out there on the road, please be safe. As Mr. Evan Shelley says, keep it between the mustard and the mayo. And as I always say, chunk the deuces. Mr. Hound, roll that beautiful bean footage.